Well, I don't know that I wanted this job, but my father was a professor of engineering. And so the life that he lived, the questions that he asked, kind of the things he did on a daily basis kind of interested me. I liked the idea of research from a young age. Me and my brothers, he would kind of pull us in and show us different things that he was doing. And so that helped me develop a real interest in research. And so, but engineering wasn't the thing for me. So I thought, my dad was a fantastic teacher as well. I would go and sit in on his lectures when I was a kid too, and I didn't understand what he was saying, but I really loved the way he was saying it. So I thought that a career in academia might be in my future, but it took me a while to get to this particular spot. Yeah. So I did my undergraduate at the University of Alabama. That's where my father was a professor, and they had a deal where you got half tuition, and he was like, yeah, that'd be a good place for you to go. And so I did. Tuscaloosa was home and is home. But after I did my undergraduate degree there in communication, also with a minor in English and political science, so I had some varied background. I actually kind of moved from there to Texas to do a master's degree in theology. Because I was interested in, church history, ecclesiastical history, and kind of the development of human civilization around the church and stuff. And so when I finished with my master's degree, I was pretty sure I was going to go on and do a PhD at that point, but I didn't know in what. And so I applied to a bunch of different places and had 3 different offers, one in philosophy and ethics, one in religion, and one in communication. And communication was back at the University of Alabama. They had 2 of the leading people in the field who I wanted to study with, and so, chose that straw. And that's kind of set me on the path to where I am today. What brought me to FSU was they had a job that I was qualified for, and I applied for it. I was actually at Indiana University in Bloomington before with my first job. I had grown up in the South, and the winters of Indiana, although they weren't horrible, but they were a little more brutal than I wanted, and I was looking to get back closer to some family and to some warmer climes. And so FSU had a job. The guy who was the head of the search committee I knew and had a lot of respect for, and so I reached out to him. He said, sure, you should apply. And I didn't know that much about the school. Now that, mind you, this was 20 years ago. So there wasn't much online that you could find out about schools and all of this kind of stuff. So I didn't know a whole lot about the school, but when I first interviewed, I fell in love, right? What I really appreciate about our school is its diversity. Diversity in ideas, diversity in training, diversity in interest, diversity in academic products. So some people do film, some people do, work with television, some people do presidential rhetoric, other people do performances, some people do advertising. So it's a really eclectic group, and that really, given my background, which is pretty eclectic, it really appealed to me. Well, I think diversity is the hallmark of any great institution, right? We only grow in our knowledge and understanding of the world, about whatever specific phenomenon in the world we're interested in, by having a variety of perspectives on that. And so those perspectives come from people with different backgrounds, with different ways of thinking, different training, different life experiences. And so I seek out those experiences, whether it's through travel, whether it's in my own classes, whether it's the people I hang out with on a Friday night, right? To have individuals who look at the world in a different way, because it only makes me a better person and gives me greater insight into how I might be able to live my life in a way that makes society a little bit better. I think one of the recent things that FSU has started doing to really encourage kind of interdisciplinary work that I think is really important are what they're calling collaborative collisions. And these are events where they choose a theme and invite people from around the university to come and present their work and talk about the work that maybe fit into that theme. So they've done one on energy, and they've done one on mental health. And I actually was a part of the collaborative collision on mental health. Ended up meeting faculty members from other units on campus that I never knew before. This one in particular, a colleague now in social work, she and I put a grant in together. We got the grant, and so we've been working on projects with victims of Hurricane Maria and Hurricane Michael living here in Florida, solely because the university provided an opportunity for us to come together, put our ideas together, and then pursue that in a meaningful way. They have one every semester, is what I'm understanding, where they are now, and folks can come. They meet one another, and they talk about a very similar kind of research area. But the university has a variety of other events that also provide us the same opportunities, whether it's the Friday coffees over at the Globe, the wonderful arts events that we hold on campus, right? All of these are places where individuals can come together around a particular topic, but then have conversations that lead to more meaningful experiences thereafter. Well, I started at FSU more than 20 years ago, so things have changed quite a bit over the period of time, but some things have been the same, right? So parking is always bad. So new faculty members have to figure out where you're going to park. But beyond that, I think new faculty members, my encouragement is to do exactly what I did, which is go to the departments that are next to you. When I first moved to campus, communication was in Diffenbaugh. And so we were right next to modern languages, right next to English. And so I would go over and have conversations with people in other departments just over hot dogs there in the middle with the guy selling hot dogs, right? I think it's just reaching out to those around you, having conversations, being interested in the people around you and the questions that they're asking, because that, even if you don't end up working together, it only opens up your mind to other things that are going on in a diverse and global university like FSU, and that can only benefit both you in your career, but also the university community as a whole. Yeah, so my research right now is in the area of mental health and how media can be used in support of mental health. And so a couple of grants I'm working on right now is specifically looking at hurricane victims and how they use media, whether it's social media or entertainment media, as a way to provide them some understanding, some context, some level of coping with the trauma that they've gone through in support of their mental health. So those are a couple of projects that I'm working on now. Those have grown out of this bigger, kind of longer project that I've been working on, which is around how media can be used for good for individuals, in particular around issues of mental health and positive emotions and positive relationships, being connected to others. So that's kind of where the work I'm doing right now is how media are used for those positive social gains. So most of the work that we've done has gone into academic journals, but we and I say we because I work with another colleague here on this faculty, Dr. Catherine Dale, and a couple of colleagues at another university. We are actually writing the first book right now specifically designed for students to help them understand these issues of positive media and how media can be used for positive gain. So that book's supposed to come out next year. So yeah, we're writing the first one in the area. For me, one of my favorite experiences from my undergraduate days was getting together with a bunch of my friends and playing flag football, just a pickup game on the quad at the University of Alabama on Friday. We would go, we would play, we would injure ourselves. But then we would sit around and chat, and then other friends would come and join, and then we would typically go to someone's house and just throw some burgers on the grill and just hang out all evening long, just having a good time. And it was at those places where I met people from many different states in the United States from many different countries in the world. And it really was in those moments of just kind of sharing some food with somebody or running up and down a field with somebody where you began to really understand that we're all the same, right? I grew up in the South in a pretty closed environment. But what college did for me, those undergraduate years were opened up the world to me. And as an undergraduate, reaching out and kind of embracing those experiences has really propelled me into the career that I have today and the orientation that I take in terms of reaching out to other people and trying to find the commonality that we all have.